Yeah, it is. There's a lot of conjecture. Everyone's got their opinion. I would have, given that opportunity. I think he deserves that opportunity. In saying that, I'm not the coach. I'm not under the pressure that they're under as well. So it's easy to sit here and say that now. But for what he's done for that, like we just mentioned, for the last 5 years for the club.
Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Queenslander. We do it all thanks to Tab. 2 rounds to go in the NRL season. Also getting to the pointy end of the Host Plus Cup as well in Queensland. So much to talk about, so much to look forward to as well, including the Dolphins. Just exactly what can they do in season 2026. The Broncos with a terrific come-from-behind victory last weekend in the nation's capital as well. As always, joined by Darius Boyd. How are you, Darius?
Great, Salty. Great to be here.
Good to have you. And Adam Jackson as well. Hello, Adam.
Yep, good to be here, Salty. What about last week when we tossed up Darius's name for Maroon's coach? Hasn't that exploded since then? Yeah.
I know. How are you feeling, Darius? How's the resume going?
It's nice to be thought of. I think that's the most,
Yep.
From my perspective, it's nice to be thrown in the mix, and whatever happens, I'm sure the QRL and Queensland will do their due diligence on the best person for the job.
And even Uncle Wayne's backed you up too at his press conference.
Yeah, it's nice to have the super coach in your back pocket. He's been a big mentor for me for a long period of time, so it's nice to have Wayne.
In all seriousness, this is something that you're aspiring to. You're doing the groundwork. You do terrific work with the Queensland under-19s that we spoke about a week or so ago. And if this happens now, great. If it doesn't, you're still on that coaching journey, aren't you?
Yeah, I think that's the thing I've said all along. I'm there to make a difference. I don't want to just turn up and get a job and it's all about me. It's definitely not about me. It's about Queensland. It's about pride. It's about passion in the jersey, and whoever Queensland and QRL select, I'm sure they'll do a great job.
Did you hear that, Gal? If you're watching, it's all about pride and passion.
He said last night on 100% footy that no Queenslander wants to put their hand up to do the job.
There's about 5 million that will.
Exactly, yeah.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
You do it.
Yeah. I'll be media manager, yep.
Yeah, all our cameramen are all putting their hands up now. But they'll do it. Anyone will do it.
It's a privileged position. Yeah. I think everyone understands that, and all the guys that have played for Queensland, the legends of the game, we've had some wonderful players, wonderful coaches who have coached Queensland as well. And like I said, whoever gets that job, they'll be doing their best to make sure that Queensland hold that legacy proud. Well,
we wish you all the best. Has there been any conversations yet? Because anything at all official, or is it all just media speculation?
No, I think it's just speculation. I think from, like I said last week, they've got to do their due diligence, right? I think when you think about the job, the expectation, the pressure, there's a lot that comes with it, and they want to make sure that you get the right person.
And the QRL doesn't have a CEO. Jeff Ribble doesn't start till November, I don't think either. So I don't think the QRL will be in a rush to make a decision,
Unless the feeling Glenn Ottaway just wants to make a point and just say, all right, here you go, take something off the boss's desk. But we'll see what happens. And I think we've all been saying it. I think we even spoke about it on the Billy Slater podcast. Adam, what's the rush?
Exactly. It's how many, 10 months, 9 months till the Origin game? Yeah, so no rush,
Yeah, all right. Lots to look forward to on today's show. But before we get moving, the ladder. Now, let's talk about the top 4. And there was an important result in regard to the top 4 over the weekend, and it's when the Sharks came from behind to beat the Titans. It was looking like Titans to hang on there, and that would have consolidated or pretty much locked in the Dolphins to finish top 4.
Yeah, Gold Coast could have done them a huge favour, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. And the Dolphins for and against is pretty similar to the Sharks. I think the Sharks is a little bit superior at the moment, so that's going to be a very tight race. And also congratulations to the Warriors, moving to the top of the ladder after the Roosters were upset for the Tigers. So still quite a bit of movement in that top 4 bracket, and then also the fifth to 8 element to seal the final spots in the finals.
Well, surely Darius. I mean, I'm not going to him for this one because he's the
Cowboys fan, yeah.
But surely, with 2 home games against teams that are below them on the ladder, it's theirs to lose, isn't it, the Cowboys?
I think so. 2 games at home, like you mentioned. They're for and against. I'd like to think that 1 win probably seals it for them. And like we said a few times before, if they're a serious finals contender, they need to at least win one of those games.
And they're fresh off the bye too, so no excuse in terms of fatigue towards the back end of the season. Not much travel in recent weeks. Off the bye, they should be winning at least one of those games.
Surely. Well, first one we'll see on Channel 9 is Saturday night against the West Tigers, who Just beat the Roosters.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Jock Madden, how good was it to see Jock Madden back too? He was in that Broncos system, dropped up and down, and so it's ripping bloke, Jock Madden.
Yeah, well done to him. Have that moment on Sunday.
You could see the guys coming. I didn't think he was going to get it away. He slotted it right through 3 or 4 Roosters players, and to see Luai jump over there and give him the well-deserved credit for a field goal against arguably a premiership threatening team. It's great for Jock Madden's career.
Yeah, it's why we've said when you look down the ladder, it's one of those years, and it's going to happen, I'm sure, again in the next fortnight, where there'll be an upset or two from those teams down the bottom of the ladder. No one's giving up and saying, oh, well, got our eye on Bali or whatever. They're playing through to round 27.
Yeah, and the Broncos showed that last week against the Raiders. Even the Dragons, even though they got touched up a bit by the Bulldogs, prior to that, the Dragons were really building and having that giant killing role. So, and the Raiders have come good at times. So, yeah, you can't take any team for granted in this competition.
Well, let's move on to the Host Plus Cup, and the Falcons have secured Adam the minor premiership.
Yeah, and they'll be the broadcast game this weekend at Sunshine Coast Stadium, so congratulations to the Falcons. First year without the Melbourne Storm affiliation. That's important to highlight. They've done it with a lot of local talent and a few key recruits come up from New South Wales Cup from the Parramatta Eels system, and the Jets still vying for a place in the top 4. They'll definitely play finals, so that'll have big ramifications, that game. And Talatau Amone is a player I want to highlight. He really starred for Wynnum Manly Seagulls. That was the broadcast game on Sunday that I commentated against South Logan Magpies. Had several try assists, a flick pass, set up Sirenen a couple of times. So he was the 5'8" for Tonga at the last World Cup. So interesting to see if Christian Wolf, the Tongan coach, still has an eye for him, even though he's playing Queensland Cup. He was in the Dragons. He had those off-field issues. The Wynnum guys say he's settled down a fair bit, and he's really trying to revive his career up in Queensland, and he has been outstanding the last few weeks.
What about the game this week as well? You can see it on Q Plus, or just head along to it, folks. When Wynnum play East, it's pretty much a playoff for 8th.
Yep, so that's the last finals spots. 8th versus 9th. A draw technically would get Wynnum in, but you don't want to rely on that. And Wynnum's got a really good for and against as well, so they could jump several spots up and seal a home final there in front of the Chugpen at Cougar Oval. And speaking of Wynnum, I want to give a shout out to the BMD Premiership team there. Reserve hooker Emily Whittaker, she's an absolute gun. She scored a real good 30-metre darting try. I think she scored 7 tries in 6 games, so she'll be a star of the future. And Jada Lafippo played her 50th game, which is a huge achievement for the BMD Premiership, given how condensed their season is. They lost to South Logan, but the front row scored right on the bell. They were all celebrating, and they let her kick the goal, and she's lined up to kick the goal if you go back and watch the vision. And then the regular goal kickers come in and said, hey, you're lining it up incorrectly. This is what you need to do. Moves the tee over, changes the angle of the ball. And guess what? She kicks it after the siren. So congratulations to the front row. The older sister of Sienna, who we see in action for the Titans in Queensland. So Wynnum Manly will miss the finals in the women's competition, but congratulations to them for their great ending.
Well said. Good on you, Adam. All right, coming up in just a moment, we'll look into the Dolphins and their impressive win against the Eels. Well, Darius, they came from behind the Dolphins against an Eels team, and we know the Eels, they just keep trying, don't they, with down on troops, but they're a hard team to beat. But once they clicked, aren't they good to watch, the Dolphins?
Oh, they are. The Eels are brave, and I think we said this last week that the Eels would be a hard game. It's a game that they had to go into and everyone expects you to win, and obviously a big test against the Roosters this week for the Dolphins. But as we've seen time and time again, the Dolphins they play their game, they play their game. In the back 20, they usually run away with it and score plenty of points, and they did that again on the weekend.
Yeah, I think it was 10-0 down early on, so they had to work hard for it. And the pleasing aspect, I think, from the Dolphins' perspective is they didn't play well, but they still managed to win, so that you can see that they're building. Similar sort of effort the last couple of weeks against Manly and the Dragons, not quite at their best, but you can see they're really building. And the success of the Dolphins, it would be remiss of us not to highlight, after 8 rounds this year, they had 2 wins.
Yeah.
2 wins after 8 rounds, and we're talking about them sealing a top 4 berth. So I think that highlights how well Christian Wolf has this group together. Didn't lose his cool, didn't panic. There weren't any stories about him losing the playing group, getting everyone to buy in. So what they've done from then to now, so that would be, I don't know, have they got how many wins have they got? 15, if we bring the ladder up. They've maybe gone 13-2 since round 8.
That's right. I think they've 8 in a row, had the 2 losses, and then they've had another 5 since.
5 in a row.
Yeah.
So since round 8, they've gone 13-2 after having the 2 wins. So, phenomenal. And also, good work by the Dolphins, allowing the fans on the field at Suncorp Stadium.
It was great.
After full time, it never happens. It's so rare. So many young fans out there getting the rare chance to be on the hallowed turf at Suncorp Stadium.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice touch. And one thing with them is that they've still got players to come back in. Kurt Donahue and Connolly Lemuelu to come back into the team. So, and he's so good, isn't he, Kurt?
Oh, Kurt's great. I think he's the little Swiss Army knife in a sense. He can play a lot of positions. He comes off. He's aggressive. He works hard. He's got some great skill. I wanted to make mention of Brian Ponyu too. He played his second game. He's a Queensland junior. He's under 19s squad and had to pull out because he was in NRL contention. He played 80 minutes, 150 plus metres, and it's good to see they got those young guys coming through the system as well.
And he nearly scored a try too. I think he just didn't know what to do in the last 10 minutes. Like, do I pass it to Cobbo or Herbie, or do I go for the line?
Yeah, I think it's great to see him there. We know what the family's been through with his brother Joseph, who's in a wheelchair, who still works with the Titans as well, and see him a fair bit down the coast. But I think it's great to see. And the more people are seeing him, Darius, and you've seen it for quite some time, as you said, you had him in your squad until he went and had to play in the NRL in the Queensland Under-19s, just realise how good a young player this kid is. Yeah,
well, he's still 18 years of age. I don't think he's turned 19 yet. And he can play centre, he can play back row. He played 80 minutes, he held his own, made a line break, almost scored a try. Plenty of metres, did a lot of work in his second game of first grade. So they've got we've talked about their squad and their depth a lot, and that's another young guy coming through that they should be really proud of.
Well, they've got him and Tavita Nafahu as well that can come in if they have an injury to an outside back.
LJ Nonu is a good young player for the Dolphins too, who's been troubled by an injury who we haven't seen a lot of. And another exciting part for the Dolphins is you look back at that game, the hammer was pretty quiet in that game. He didn't do a lot, and they still scored, 34 points in the end. And also, you can just tell the difference when Max Plath comes onto the field. Like, to me, he's got to be in that Kangaroo squad.
No doubt.
For the World Cup, I know Kevy's looking at him, but to me, at the back of the year he's had, he's just outstanding Plath.
Oh, and you think about finals too, right? Like, you wouldn't want to come up against the Dolphins. No, I wouldn't. You think about the way they play their game, their brand of football. They stay in it early, and then they can blow you out with plenty of points. And as you mentioned, Hamiso didn't do that much, and they still put 34 on. And if he has a couple of tries, Herbie Farnworth, Jack Bostock's jumping over people, Jermaine Asako's putting down balls that most people couldn't. So it's a really strong outfit.
Cody Nicarima's playing like he was with you in 2015.
You can only imagine how tough they'd be to coach against, given the strike that's everywhere.
I mean, they've got so much strength in the forward pack. They're so dominant from the forwards. You see a lot of guys coming out, shooting out of the line, trying to be aggressive in defence, and then you have the skill and that of the outside backs. You've got, as you mentioned, Isaiah Katoa and Cody Nicarima on either side, just picking you apart through the middle. It's just exciting to watch.
Darius, how important are those smaller forwards with quick feet, given the way the competition goes now? And they've got it. We talk about Max Plath. Then when Kurt Donahue comes in, I mean, they're just as adept on an edge as they are in the middle, and they just can help get your team on a roll.
Oh, they can. I think you think about the way the game's played and the bigger guys in the middle, they used to hate when the outside backs would come in with footwork. Well, now you've got middle forwards that come in with footwork and you're playing up against them. Only they're probably stronger than the outside backs that would normally come in. So you saw Max Plath try on the weekend. Obviously, Kurt coming back. Like I said, he's a Swiss Army knife, can play multiple positions. He can play great with the football as well. And, they're challenging to defend against for sure.
And what about that no try on half-time? That was the best no try I've ever seen. Herbie passes it to Cobbo, who kicks it, and then it deflects and it comes back again. It was like a ping-pong match, but I so wish that was a try. That would have been
so
amazing.
Do I. Yeah, so do I. I ask you both this, is there a player in the competition that hates being tackled more than Herbie Farnworth?
No, I don't think so. And I think that's something I've seen him do that at training when I was back at the Broncos. He was exactly the same. You do 13 on 13 opposed stuff, and he'd have a fight with his, one of his teammates because he didn't want to get tackled. He didn't like how hard you tackled him. But it's a great trait to have.
Yeah.
You want guys that fight for a quick play of the ball. They want to be aggressive. He gets his 20 carries every week. He's really hard to stop. And when Herbie's on, the Dolphins are going well.
Even if he is tackled, he'll look to offload. So he's just so dangerous creating that second phase play, and he scores that almost intercept try right at the end of the game where he runs 80 metres. So his speed also underrated.
He's leading the competition for tackle breaks. He's leading the competition for offloads. And I don't know if there's a stat for the amount of one-on-one steals as well, but he'd be right up there.
And defensively too, he's very solid. He's not just an attacking player also.
He's a big body too. I'm not sure you see that when you watch on TV, but he's 100 kilos. He's got a big, broad frame, 6'2", 6'3", and he can run like the wind. So he's got all this talent and ability for sure.
He's made to look smaller because he's next to Cobbo, who's so massive.
Yeah.
And some of those tough carries from the Cobbo were pivotal in changing the momentum in that match. There was one he was trapped in the corner there at Suncorp Stadium. He's not getting out. And he finds a way to get out, and then that generates a bit more energy for the Dolphins game. In what was his 100th game, and this time last year, he was playing Q Cup.
It's been a great 12 months for Selwyn Cobbo, and surely he's got to be in contention for
World Cup.
I think normally we'd think about Origin form, but then you also think the finals run too.
Yeah.
He's going to be in both. He's had a great Origin form. He's going to have a finals run. Yeah, he's pretty hard to not select.
And Kevy loves him. Kevy essentially gave him his start at the Broncos.
Yeah. So, Dolphins this week have got the Roosters and the Titans. The team just below them on the ladder, the Sharks, have the Eels and the Storm. Ooh. Now, the one thing is with the Sharks, and I'll make a case for their opponents, the Eels, they just don't quit. And they love playing at CommBank on a Sunday afternoon. Mitch Moses territory for mine. That, I think, danger there for the Sharks. And then the last round, Jerome Hughes will be on the field. He may well be picked for the game against the Broncos this Thursday night. So Storm, with their full complement as far as the spine goes, they're going to be tough to beat in these last two games. So maybe not all is riding on this Roosters game for the Dolphins this week.
Yeah, potentially if they win one, that Titans game in the last round could get them in. Yeah. And also the bearing of the for and against. So if one win for the Dolphins is a massive win and one of these losses for the Sharks is a significant loss, it could also factor in. And the Sharks have been quite shaky the past few weeks.
I've still got the Dolphins finishing in top four. Darius?
I think top four. I think the Sharks have been a bit shaky. I think the Dolphins look the more confident side, and it's a big test against the Roosters this weekend away from home. And if they're a genuine top four side, you'd like to think they can go down there and get the job done.
And from the Dolphins' perspective, winning the premiership, it's so much more beneficial finishing in the top four. And given if it's a new club, it's their first time in the finals, there might be a bit of nerve there. So if they can get into the top four, even if they lose first week of the finals, they live to fight another day. So yeah, that could be imperative in their finals charge.
Yeah, so good luck to the Dolphins. And by the way, just in that game against the Roosters, looks like Victor Radley will be unavailable for selection
with the
HIA. Now, the Cowboys didn't play on the weekend, and we touched on it when we looked at the ladder. But the Cowboys finish, they're at home the next 2 weeks. Tigers, Raiders, their fate is in their hands. If they win those two, depending on what happens, they could still sneak up to sixth and get a home final.
Yeah, and the big bonus for the Cowboys, I'm hearing the mail from Townsville, is that Tom Dearden will be back to play. So he had that leg injury again, so he's trained quite well, so I expect him to line up. And it's Old Boys Day on Saturday night in Townsville. They're going to wear the retro jerseys, and Lee Kernahan's going to play. So he played the original Come On the Cowboys song, which was their theme song when they...
That's your ringtone, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. In 1995 when they came in, so there'll be a massive crowd there. Old Boys Day, some legend. Hopefully JT and some of the crew from that grand final winning team will be there to spur them on. But Darius and I were talking off camera beforehand. So Tom Dearden's missed 11 games. So their halfback captain and their best player has missed 11 games. So you look at some of the other teams. So if Nathan Cleary doesn't play 11 games this year, Panthers aren't anywhere near the top of the ladder.
Nope.
If Izzy Cartol misses 11 games for the Dolphins, I doubt that they're in the top 8. Similar with other teams like Roosters and Sam Walker. So overall perspective, the Cowboys have done remarkably well to get where they have, given that their halfback and captain has missed half the season.
And you'd like to think if he's back this week or next, that's a massive boost of confidence, right? You're at home, the fate's in your hands, and if you're a serious contender to get into the top 8, you want to go in there making sure you deserve your spot and you're not limping in. And they're going to want to win both games and go in with a lot of confidence. And they're a bit like the Dolphins. When they play well, they can score points, drink water out at the back.
Yeah.
And some teams would be pretty scared to play them and face them in the first week of the finals.
We've spoken a bit about the timing of the buys this year for the Cowboys, how they went to Vegas, then didn't have a buy for ages.
14 rounds, I think, maybe, yeah.
But then this one, I think, has just come at
it's
the
been
perfect
absolutely
time.
perfect timing, yeah, just to reduce that fatigue factor with the travel towards the back end of the season. Because people don't realise how much of an arduous task it is travelling from Townsville. So majority of teams only have to get on one flight. But a lot of the times the Cowboys can't get the direct flight, whether it be Melbourne to Canberra, sometimes even to Sydney. So they're having to do nearly twice as much travel as a lot of the teams in the competition. So fatigue affects them more than any club at the moment. Until we get a team in Perth and PNG, they're really going to find out how hard travel is, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're on 30 points. South are also on 30, but the for and against, which you've covered a lot, that Roosters game could come back to bite them. But with the Knights, and just you never know how they might finish off the season.
I think Knights have got a bye, though.
Yeah, they do have the bye in the last round.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's going to give them a big advantage. So they need a couple of upsets against South Sydney to lose one. Well, South Sydney lose one game.
They got the Roosters in the last
play the
round
Roosters.
too, so big chance of that happening for sure.
Yeah, but Latrell looks like he's going to be back too.
Yeah, potentially off the bench too.
All right. Boy, I'm looking forward to these next 2 weeks. There's a lot to play out. And so the Cowboys, just wrapping up their scenario, they could finish 7th or 8th. They could finish as high as 6th and get a home final, or they could miss altogether.
Completely, yeah. What will help them if the Panthers beat the Bulldogs on Friday night? That'll open it up completely for the Cowboys. The COVID-ravaged Bulldogs too, apparently.
Yeah, COVID, still a story.
Yeah.
But amazingly, they all got it
the day after.
The day after the game. You wouldn't believe it. Oh, dear. All right, we're going to talk all things Broncos in just a moment, and they did it again down in the nation's capital. Well, on Friday night, Brisbane went to Canberra. There was a heap of emotion at GIO Stadium with the last game that Josh Papali'i was playing at home for the Raiders. And when Canberra skipped out to a 30 points to 16 lead, you thought, uh-oh, what's going to happen here? But Darius, what a good comeback it was by Brisbane.
Yeah, great comeback. 30 to 16 down, 18 minutes to go. Obviously, think about last year's semi-final and what that looked like, and Brisbane's historic run in the finals last year. It was a bit the same. I thought Billy Walters, Hayes Perham, Xavier Willison, 3 of their best for sure.
And that try that Payne Haas scores to change the momentum, like not too many players in the competition can score that. Bear in mind too, he's carrying that hand injury that will require surgery in the off-season, which was reported last week. And then, as Darius said, Xavier Willison getting back to knock that chip and chase out of the hands of Weeks. And then Karapani right in the corner puts his body on the line to deny the Raiders a last try. So, yeah, obviously the same. I was at Suncorp Stadium. That was the game before the Dolphins.
Yep.
When it got to the Raiders hit 30, I'm like, that's it. And I walked down to the sideline and I couldn't believe that they won. So I had to go back and watch the highlights. So it shows the players have definitely not given up on the season, even though they can't make the finals.
And player you mentioned there, Hayes Perham, I was really happy to see him have a good game. A couple of his outings this year, he wouldn't have been happy with. And that was the form he showed when he was at the Bulldogs prior to him coming to Brisbane and rupturing the ACL. I think that was really positive for him, and he's been rewarded by a contract extension as well.
Oh, it would have given him a huge amount of confidence. And I'm sure he backs his own ability, and said coming back from injury and then coming into a team that's not performing at their best, there's always a challenge, and you've got to come in and as a Queensland Cup player, you've got to kind of come in 3 or 4 times a year and prove why you should be in the NRL team. So it's great to see him have a great game, and hopefully he can back it up again this week.
He was terrific in the Queensland Cup for South Logan Magpies, and the Magpies will unfortunately miss the finals. And one of the reasons I feel the last few weeks he hasn't played, and just the disruption of not having the fullback who's so influential in the attacking setup these days. But yeah, you could just see how much it meant to him. And he did the pre-match media during the week, and he spoke glowingly of like what they need to do, and also the comparison of Reece Walsh. Reece Walsh is this young, flamboyant fullback. I've learned a lot of him, but also I've been a bit older and experienced. There's advice that we can share back and forth. So, yeah, it's great to see Hayes Perrin back in the NRL.
I can see him pushing for, obviously not Reece's position come next season, Darius, but for a spot in that back line somewhere. Yeah,
definitely. He can play wing, he can play centre, and he's done that before at the Bulldogs and in his previous history, and he's just an all-round player, and he's got a big body to him. He's strong, carry out the backfield, which you need. He's safe under the high ball, and then he can fill multiple positions if you get an injury as well. So he's a great squad depth member, but also pushing for a starting spot next year.
And his contract, I think, was an option in his favour. So he could have chosen to go to another club, chase a bit more permanent starting position, but he's chosen to back himself and stay at Red Hill. And also, if he starts with the Broncos next season, he puts himself in the shop window for the other teams coming into the competition. Maybe Perth pick him up, or PNG. The PNG just signed outside backs, so maybe...
I think it'll be a team full of outside backs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the speed of the game, you might need a few in the middle as well.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I saw a tweet. Someone said yesterday the PNG Chiefs are quickly putting together a roster capable of winning the premiership in 2023.
Oh.
That wasn't me. It was a tweet, so I thought it was quite funny, yeah.
I'll tell you what, he wouldn't be coming up against them. Wait till they start signing forwards. Wait till Hudson Young signs.
Yeah.
Or supposedly. He's talking to him anyway, apparently.
1.1 mil a year for a back rower. Yep.
Yeah. All right, Adam Reynolds is a topic of conversation. Yeah, and before we talk about whether he should have been given 20 minutes or at least named on the bench this Thursday night, let's talk about Adam and the impact that he has had since he arrived at Brisbane, Darius. You obviously, you look 2 grand finals, including a premiership, and it's been a terrific relationship, Adam and the Broncos, and the back end of his career. I think it's ended up being a terrific signing.
Oh, it's been a remarkable signing. I think from memory, the Broncos would come 14th in the year before he got there, and you inject someone with that experience, the way he leads the group, his game management, his kicking game. I'd argue it's one of the best in the modern era, and he come to a club that needed some confidence and belief, and he instilled that in spades. And like I said, 2 grand finals, premiership winning captain, and he's had a great career and one he should be very proud of.
For mine, he's in the grand final for their best ever import. You're talking about players who didn't start their NRL careers at the Broncos. So for mine, looking at probably Glenn Lazarus, what he did for the club in the mid-90s in their premiership surge there. But for him to take a team that was wooden spooners in the space of a few years and completely transform them, and being the nerd that I am, I've gone through and done the stats. So in the past 5 years, when Adam Reynolds has played for the Broncos, their winning percentage is 56%. When he hasn't played for the Broncos, it drops down to 47%. So that's only 9%, but that difference is the difference between living and dying in the NRL, making the finals and not making for the finals. If you win at 56%, you play finals. If you win at 47%, you miss the finals. So that highlights how imperative he is to the team. And I remember talking to Corey Oates a few weeks ago. I was at a Family of League luncheon with him. So Corey Oates, the 3rd highest try scorer in the history of the Broncos after Renouf and Lockyer. The season he scored the most ever tries in his career was the first year that Adam Reynolds came to the club. So you remember Oatesy was kind of lost his way, dropped down to Queensland Cup, was considering retiring, had a few injuries, didn't really know what he was doing. Adam Reynolds pulls him aside, was like, mate, I believe in you. They became besties because, to be honest, they're both quite annoying and then they fit together quite well. And then he manages to get the best out of him. And also, Kevy deserves the credit for going down to Sydney, believing in him. When the Rabbitohs didn't believe in him, the Rabbitohs didn't want to offer him a multi-year deal. He's come to the Broncos, played 5 seasons, got them to 2 grand finals. And I'm so pleased he got it hasn't turned out well this year, but he got that fairy tale last year, him and Ben Hunt.
Yeah, with that winning that premiership, and I think that he's done a lot, not just on the field but off it as well, and just the professionalism that he brings, Darius. You've seen him firsthand as well. You played against Renault as well. He just brings so much to the whole group on and off the field, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, and I think that's one thing he did really well when he first came to the club. It was still a young roster, and they didn't know how to win, and they were learning their way to win. And Kevy was a new coach, a rookie coach in NRL as well, and he brought that, that leadership, that game management, and you brought Reece Walsh in, and your young Patrick Carrigans and Payne Haas's. You had a great forward pack to play behind, and Adam just steered the ship well on and off the field. And look what they've finished with now. Obviously, a premiership and a grand final in two out of his 5 seasons, and he'll go down, like you said, as one of the greatest imports the Broncos have had.
There was a moment that he had in Broncos colours, I think, that will live on, and whether it's the tries and try assists and in big games as well, they'll all be there. But that conversion against Penrith, when you've got to go back as well to the grand final that was played at Suncorp Stadium in 2021, and I know it was on the other side of the ground, still the northern end, but he missed a kick against the Panthers in that grand final. So he exercised a few personal demons by nailing that one in the grand final qualifier. I think that's his biggest moment in a Broncos jersey.
And also, given that it was against Penrith, who killed off his premiership dream in 2023, and if he had his time back again, a couple of short dropouts didn't turn out his way in the grand final. So it was, superb that he got that redemption moment at Suncorp Stadium. And undoubtedly, they will miss him, I think, more than they realise next year, because he is the glue that has held that team together for so long. And losing your halfback and your best forward in Payne Haas, that's a significant loss.
One of the big talking points is, should he have been rewarded with a Suncorp Stadium farewell on Thursday night?
I think it's crazy that he hasn't been afforded a farewell, given what he's earned in his club, at that club, and that's where I feel as though he should deserve that. Even if you're not starting him, putting him on the bench, play the final 10 minutes, get the crowd involved in the game. It's a game where both clubs are out of finals contention. The Storm will have a lot of respect for Adam Reynolds. But the telling point for me is, the players' reaction to that. The players didn't even know. So he had the training session on Monday. He completed it fully. A lot of the players in the team just assumed that he would play. Ben Hunt came out on 4BC this morning, said it was very strange. He even said, I'll give up the 7 jersey to let Renault play for all he's done for this club. But we record this at like 11 o'clock on a Tuesday. I've just been told Adam Reynolds will do a press conference later this afternoon to try and clarify a few things. He did do an interview with Channel 9 last night. He was on Triple M, basically saying that he felt he was all right and the medical staff ruled him out. But I think there's a little bit untoward as to what's happened, and there needs to be an explanation of how this is exactly transpired, because I feel as though maybe Michael Maguire, Adam Reynolds and some other people aren't on the same page here.
It's a tough one, isn't it, Darius?
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of conjecture. Everyone's got their opinion. I would have given him that opportunity. I think he deserves that opportunity. In saying that, I'm not the coach. I'm not under the pressure that they're under as well. So it's easy to sit here and say that now, but for what he's done for that, like we just mentioned, for the last 5 years for the club, resume speaks for itself. His leadership, the person that he is off the field, the character of the guy as well. If he's available to be able to play 10, 20 minutes, even if it's off the bench, to give the team a lift, I'm sure whether they're up by 10 or down by 10, the fans would be up and raw when he would get on the field.
Like a veteran quarterback in the NFL. We've seen it so often. We've seen it in movies. Come on, ice the game, kick a goal.
They take a knee.
Kick a field goal.
And I'm like you, Darius, in that we're not behind closed doors and know the extent of the injury and what's being said between Michael Maguire and Adam Reynolds. But I will say this, Brisbane are staring down the barrel of 9 losses at Suncorp Stadium for this season.
Their worst ever record.
Yeah. 9 in a row, I think it is, at Suncorp Stadium this season. The Broncos fans, and I'll be there in numbers this week, need that feel-good moment. Now, obviously, the big one is to get a win. Is to get a win. That's first and foremost. And like I said, I want to second guess what's happened behind closed doors. But I'm sure, though, if he was able to, they'd find a way to put him there, whether it's Adam, who's been trying to convince himself that he was right to go, but the medical staff, and you don't want to question the medical staff as well. It's such a tricky one to be too critical towards Brisbane, but and I can see where they're coming from, but part of me thinks, you need that sort of feel-good moment at Suncorp.
Yeah. Well, there's the fear there could be a backlash in the playing group who, if they want Adam Reynolds to play, and it's been, the coaching staff have made this decision. And it also surprises me that the leadership group wasn't consulted. So Ben Hunt, speaking on radio, essentially confirmed that he was blindsided. He had no idea. He's part of the leadership group with Carrigan, Huss and Stagg. So I don't know why you don't at least get the leaders across to the side and say, hey, this is the medical report. What do you guys think? Let's have a bit more collaborative approach on it.
Well, it's not 4 o'clock yet.
Yeah, I know. I wish we had this press conference before I'm saying this, because this could be all out of date. Yeah, but yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see what does happen there. Either way, there'll be a special farewell for Adam Reynolds, for Payne Haas as well at Suncorp Stadium.
And give it Shibasaki's last season too. Like, people forget, he was their leading try scorer in their premiership win last year. So if he doesn't have a career renaissance, I don't think they get to the final series because they don't have that strike centre.
Very true. So it'll be an emotional night Thursday night at Suncorp Stadium. You can see it all live and free on 9 for Kia Thursday night footy. We're going to talk all things Titans in just a moment. You're watching Queenslander. Well, Sunday afternoon, the Titans nearly got the job done, Darius. They led 16-8 and were looking good against the Sharks, but a couple of crucial errors early in the second half got them on the back foot, and Cronulla ended up winning the game by 8 in the end.
Yeah, we thought the last week we said the Titans would have a red-hot crack and pick them in some of our selections, and they definitely did that up to half-time. And I just think Sharks probably just got better of them early in that second half, and probably just lapses of concentration. They just haven't been consistent for long enough periods. A lot of times this season they've shown patches of form, but just can't quite do it for 80 minutes at this time of year. Yeah,
just too many errors, and defensively so poor. I think that's 4 games in a row now they've conceded at least 30 points or more. You can't be winning games with that. And you see the efforts there. A guy like Mo Fotuaika is almost trying too hard. He made a couple of telling knock-ons, just trying to get up, play the ball too fast. So it's almost, they're close, but they're still very much a developing side.
Yeah, AJ Brimson, he's exploring options there elsewhere. Thought he was tremendous again, though, on the weekend.
Yeah, well, and Josh Hannay highlighted this in his pre-match press conference. He basically said there's a lot of players across the NRL this year who've thrown the toys out of the cot. He hasn't been one of them. He's played out of position. He's sucked it up all year, and he's been one of our best players. But he's on around $900,000 a year, which is too much money under the current salary cap to be paying for a centre. He is a fullback. He wants to play fullback. And if he can get that fullback opportunity, I think the Titans are smart to let him go and let him flourish as well.
Yeah, I think they've had a lot of fullbacks. We've probably been spoken about that for a while. Jaden Campbell was arguably a fullback in his early days as well. Obviously, Keanu Kinney, and then they see Keanu Kinney as the future. Well, Brimson his best position is fullback. So he's done a great job as a half, as a 5'8", as a centre. But you probably need to spend that money elsewhere and use it more wisely.
Well, a Queenslander moment of the week is a departing Titan in Philip Sami, who is off to the Dragons next year, but he now is the sole owner of the all-time try-scoring record at the Gold Coast. He's gone one above Anthony Don. He grabbed the try in the corner on the weekend, so well done to Philip Sami.
Yeah, he's had a great career and a great year this year. Probably arguably career best form this year. He's at the most run meters in the competition. He brings the ball out of the backfield really well. He scored a heap of tries, and definitely the Dragons' game for next year.
Yeah, when the Dragons signed him at the start of this year, I was like, is that the right thing to be doing? But yeah, he's been sensational towards the back end of the year. Really gets involved as well with some of those tough carries out of the back end, not just scoring tries.
Now, the Titans men are having their woes, and still in saying that, I think they've improved from last year to this year, and the signs are there that they're going to have a really strong season next year under Josh Hannay. But Karen Murphy's NRLW team at the Gold Coast, I said this about 5 or 6 weeks ago, that I expect them to play in the grand final.
Yeah, you called it.
They are playing some terrific footy. They're minus a couple of forwards as well, most notably Jess Alliston, who's out for the season. But everyone who comes into that team is doing a job. Tegan Levi, unbelievable. Boy, they're a good team to watch.
Just so exciting. And the understanding is Tegan Levi will leave next year because she wants to go play sevens for the LA Olympics. But the Titans are hopeful of getting her back because she's only maybe 23. So she's got a lot of time left in her. And just, such an exciting attacking player. And I've actually commentated a few BMD Premiership games where the extended squad has been Kira Rangi is only an 18-year-old who's going to be a superstar. Sienna Abraham scored 2 tries on debut but can't get back into the team for the NRLW, such as that loaded backline. And I think the scoreline almost flattered the Broncos in the end for that Titans NRLW game. And you could see the effect. What about Princey in the sheds? Did you see that vision at half-time? It's very rare to see him lose his cool. He was absolutely blown up.
He was.
He wasn't happy, was he? No, you mentioned Levi and Brown, Lauren Brown. That's a really quality halves pairing. Lauren Brown obviously gets them around the park and Levi does her thing with the talent and ability. And I just think their left edge is really strong. Looking at Osako, who used to play centre, bit of fullback. She's a really strong back rower. You got Chapman and Gray. Yeah, it's a really good left edge, and they're exciting to watch. They're
very good to watch. Outstanding. They play Canberra this week. You'll see that on 9 at 12:45 on that Saturday afternoon. So keep it going. The Gold Coast Titans NRLW team on fire. We're going to have our tab big calls in just a moment. Now selections for the upcoming round in the NRL. Time now for our Tab big calls on Queenslander, all thanks to Tab. We're out of time. We can't go through our tips from last week because they were all pretty terrible. So let's get straight into our selections for this week. You go first, Adam.
There hasn't been a draw this season in the NRL. It's very hard to get a draw because we play Golden Point extra time. So I'm going to predict this weekend 2 teams will end level after Golden Point extra time. So we'll have our first draw of the season this weekend.
Wow, okay.
There we go, tight footy.
So just a draw, you're not picking an actual game?
I'm not picking that game, just a draw. Well, there hasn't been a draw all year, so I still think that's a big call,
Throw it around one of those teams around the top 4 race or top 8 race.
Imagine if that happens and a team comes on odd number of points.
Yeah. There you go.
For me, I'm going Dolphins to flex their muscles, get themselves in the top 4 and beat the Roosters down in Sydney.
Okay, nice. So you go the Dolphins. I'm going the Cowboys, not just to win, but I think that Jackson Purdue going back into the centres with Tom Dearden coming into the team. At least that's what we expect. I think Jackson Purdue to score a double.
There we go. I agree.
Big chance.
So there we go. So there are our Tab big calls. All right, Broncos Storm Thursday night. Our selections there quickly.
I think the Storm win, but motivation, no Adam Reynolds, but Payne Huss's last ever home game. So added inspiration there.
Storm are normally great up in Brisbane, but I'm going with the Broncos for this one.
Yeah, that could be the draw.
And that's the kickoff change game too.
It is,
So don't get me started on that.
No. They might have to extend the episode by an extra half hour. So the team who concedes a try will be able to choose whether they kick off or whether they receive.
Yeah. Titans.
It's a solution to a problem that doesn't exist.
Exactly. Yeah. Well said. Titans v South Sydney.
Rabbitohs, but special thing, Jai Arrow will get to be part of the extended bench for South Sydney. Excellent touch. So he's stuck on 98 career games for the Rabbitohs. Special dispensation from the NRL to allow him to be on extended bench the next 2 games, so he will get his 100th cap.
More than that, he's actually going to
he comes
start
onto the field. So he won't be involved in play. He'll lead the team out. He'll get onto the field for like maybe the first 10, 15 seconds and then get to sit on the bench. Fantastic initiative, not only by the Rabbitohs, the NRL and the Gold Coast Titans for approving it, and the Roosters for the last round.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think South bounced back after a poor performance last weekend.
Yeah, especially with the Trell in their team. Roosters, Dolphins. Darius, you've already said Dolphins. I'm going fins up.
Yeah, me too, Dolphins. They beat them earlier in the year. They can do it again.
And Cowboys, Tigers. Well, do I need to ask?
Yeah, Cowboys win, and Lee Kernaghan to put on... Lee Kernaghan. I kept seeing his name wrong, We'll see him come on the Cowboys and absolutely nail it and get them all going.
Okay.
I think Cowboys, they must win. They get the job done.
Yeah, Cowboys for mine as well. Thanks, Darius.
Thanks, Salty. Thanks for being here.
We've got to get to work on your resume. Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you, Adam.
No worries. Go Cowboys.
Thanks for tuning in, folks. Another episode of Queenslander will be out and about next week. Enjoy the weekend of the footy.